My partners tonight, in addition to all the guests we're going to have, Hall of Famer Steve Farhood. Make sure we get the age in there. And, of course, here from Showtime Boxing, Ray Flores is here as well. It's been quite a week here in Las Vegas. A lot of energy. The weigh-in on Friday was amazing. Probably, 5,000-6,000 people showed up. What do you make, Steve, of what you've seen so far leading up to the fight that is just a few hours away now?
Well, you know, boxing is a star-driven sport, obviously. And what this week has been a reminder of is just how big a star Manny Pacquiao is. He's one of the biggest, one or two, along with Floyd Mayweather, the biggest stars of his generation. And the impression is sort of that he's been away for a while because he hasn't fought in America. But in fact, he's never really been away, and now he's turned 40. So this is, in his mind, as well as the fans' mind, this is all, what can you do for me once you hit 40?
Mm-hmm. That seems to be like the magic number. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's asking him about it. And I thought Manny Ray had a really good response to that question. He said, listen, I've got to prove to people now that I'm not over the hill, that I'm not past my prime. And I think it's a great attitude for him to have heading into a really, really difficult fight.
Coach, you bring up a great point. We talked to Freddie Roach last week during the workout of Manny Pacquiao, and he told us that Manny Pacquiao is hitting the hardest that he ever has. I followed it up and I asked him, even going back to when he was in his string of putting people away like Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, brutalizing Antonio Margarito, and he responded, yes. So with Freddie Roach saying that, that could be him trying to sell the fight, but Freddie deep down inside feels that Manny Pacquiao is at his apex, which could be a very scary thing for Adrian Broner.
And Steve, we know that Freddie Roach is not in the business of overselling one of his fighters. He almost undersells a lot of the time. How big of a deal is it in your mind that Freddie Roach is now back in the corner working the fight with Manny Pacquiao?
Because Manny is 40, Coach, it's not like anybody's going to teach him anything new at this point. He fights the way he fights. But if there's a comfort that Freddie Roach provides Manny Pacquiao, then it's very valuable that he's back. He's not going to be the lead voice in the corner. And I find it interesting that, let's say it's round 6, and let's say it's not going that great for Pacquiao. Will Freddie want to, you know,
step in and say a little bit,
and become the guy? Because who knows more about boxing than Freddie Roach? So it can, in a way, create a little bit of conflict in the corner as well. But for now, Freddie seems to be taking a back seat to Boo Boy.
I'll even say that when it comes to Freddie Roach, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And the consensus amongst Freddie and Manny is that now that they're together again, they are in this perfect place together. Manny Pacquiao is the closest thing that Freddie Roach has ever had to a son. Manny loves Freddie. He didn't even know that Freddie's mother passed away because Manny really does not pay attention to anything on social media-wise. He's so enveloped in being a politician in the Philippines. So they had that moment months ago when they reunified. So I think it puts Manny Pacquiao in a better place emotionally and spiritually, and Freddie is better for that as well.
And I think for the fringe fans who may be tuning in tomorrow night, Freddie Roach is a star in his own right. He's a face and a name that so many people know, and to see him in the corner, I think, will get a lot of the fans like, okay, this is the way that Manny Pacquiao is supposed to look as far as his camp is concerned. Now, he's clearly the baby face, if I can use a wrestling term. On the flip side, we've got the heel, and that, is, of course, is Adrian Broner, and he embraces this persona. He loves the fact, I believe, that a lot of people don't like him, that he comes in as a villain, that he comes in as the guy that's going to ruin the party, so to speak. Do you agree with that?
I agree totally with that, and in a way, he's copying what worked for Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people paid for Floyd Mayweather's pay-per-view fights because they wanted to see him get his butt kicked. Well, it's similar with Adrian Broner. He's embraced that image. And I think the most important thing for Broner at this point in his career, which is a very, very strange, unique career, because he's won world titles in 4 different divisions, yet he's considered an underachiever by some people. All of everything that's happened up to this point goes away if he could pull off the upset.
How many people, and I love the really great competitors, the Conor McGregors, the Floyd Mayweathers, the Rocks, they will tell you that if half the crowd is rooting for you to win or half the crowd is rooting for you to lose, but they're all paying their money, right? And do you believe Adrian Broner is doing enough to sell this fight on his side of the fence?
Well, when you go after Showtime Hall of Famer Al Bernstein, and when you go ahead and we have the Hall of Famer Steve Farhood, let's go with that hood, because Adrian Broner says, I'm doing it for the hood, H-O-O-D. So Adrian Broner is an antagonizer. and he knows how to push people's buttons, how to get a response, whether it be better or for worse. He represents Cincinnati, so Broner knows what he's doing, very calculated in his mind. However, you can have a big bark, but do you have the bite? And tonight on pay-per-view against Manny Pacquiao, we're going to find out.
And it's an interesting thing, Coach, just one thing to add to that. You notice Broner really hasn't gone after Pacquiao verbally. It's almost like he understands that's not a fight he can win. And what are you going to say to a living legend like Manny Pacquiao? So he's in his own way acknowledged the greatness and the established greatness of Pacquiao.
Well, we were just getting started. Ray, Steve, Coach, we've got plenty of guests coming up over the course of the next hour. Also, we're going to hit on the undercard, which is a really, really good one here tonight, live on pay-per-view, kicking off top of the hour, 9 Eastern on Showtime pay-per-view. But it's been quite a week here in Las Vegas. If you've missed any of it, take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Adrian the Broner. From Serengeti Province, Philippines, Manny Pacquiao.
This fight is going to be a good fight. I'm just focused on the win. You know, right now, nothing can stop my focus.
What motivates you to keep boxing now when you don't really need
Like
to?
I said, that's the evidence of being passionate of this sport. I am a senator of the Republic of the Philippines. I don't need to box.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. We welcome you to the David Copperfield Theater here at the beautiful MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
Explain a little bit on how it is turning the page for you.
I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. I don't with you, bro. I don't with you. You be talking too much about me on Twitter, bro. And I'm gonna let you get it. I'd rather Roy Jones or Stephen A. Smith ask me some questions. I don't with you.
Okay, that's fine.
I know you fought a lot of great fighters, but is it cool? Not that you're in awe or anything, but you're fighting a legend in Manny Pacquiao. Does that mean a lot to you?
I hope it be all to him that he's fighting Adrian Broner. I'm one of a kind too now. 4-time world champion in 4 different weight classes. I think I'm the only African American that did that.
Do you think you need a win this Saturday to be a legend too?
I'm already a legend where I'm from. Where I'm from, they don't got nothing. Never had nothing. And ain't gonna get nothing.
Give us your thoughts on your man, O'Bali, going head-to-head against Rashid Warren.
So this is the kind of fight that as a kid you would dream of, because when I was young, you couldn't get Olympians or guys who had multiple Olympic appearances to fight one another as professionals.
What is your preview as you get set for Pacquiao and Adrian Broner? Pacquiao, 40 years of age, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
40 is just a number, so that does not give him a way to say, oh, he beat an old Pacquiao. No, Pacquiao just showed us against Matisse that he's just as effective as he ever was.
You feel you're generous to a fault? Is there sometimes where you have to think, I can only do so much?
My purpose here on earth is to be an inspiration to everybody.
Which you are.
Yes, inspiration of all things.
He's a hell of a fighter. He's a very special fighter. But you know, me at 100%, you know, I can stop him with whatever he brings to the table.
Say you're victorious against Adrian Broner. Will we see Manny against the Keith Thurmans, against the Errol Spences of the world?
That's possible. Your career's had a lot of highs, a couple lows. Have you thought about the fact that winning Saturday undoes all the lows?
It's another day in the office. Just on a bigger platform, you know, I really want to win this fight, and you know, I know where this take me to after a win like this. So, you know, I took this more serious, and the dedication and focus that I put into this camp, you know, I think you guys will see that Saturday night.
Welcome back to Countdown. Pacquiao Broner here in Las Vegas. Ray, Steve, Coach, let's welcome in our next guest here on the show, Javonte Davis. Now, you're going to be fighting February 9th, Southern California. You're fighting at 130, but you've been entertaining, you know, moving up as your career goes along. How are you feeling right now about being still at that weight?
I feel great. You know, I believe I can make the weight comfortably. You know, I believe 130, 135 is around my weight class, so I can have any champion in them weight classes.
Javonte, you're fighting a guy who's been a smaller fighter, who's moving up in weight. He's looking to win his title in his 4th different division in Abner Maris. What do you make of Abner, and what kind of threat do you think he poses to you?
Abner been on this, on this big platform for some time now, so he have the experience. He's a great fighter. I believe that he's a future Hall of Famer, a Hall of Famer fighter. He throws a lot of punches. We're not taking this guy lightly. He actually asked for the fight, and Al came to me and asked me what am I willing to take the fight, and I said yes. I'm a fighter. I don't back down for no one, so we have that fight. And February 9th, it's gonna be an action-packed fight.
How long did it take you to say yes?
About like 15 seconds.
Javonte, this is your first main event on Showtime Championship Boxing, February 9th. Now that your name is on the marquee, Davis Mares, fighting at a place, Dignity Health Park, formerly the StubHub Center, the War Grounds. What does that mean for you and the significance being so young in your professional career, now headlining on Showtime Championship Boxing?
It means a lot. I've been around a lot of great champions. I've been around Floyd Mayweather. I've been around Adrian Broner. I've been around Errol Spence, Robert Easter. It's time for to make that step up. I'm not a little boy anymore. I'm a man. And, it's time to go on, to the next chapter of my career. And that's, to become that big pay-per-view star of boxing.
All right, you throw out all those big names, and they're all big pay-per-view stars. Give me one big thing over everything else that those guys have taught you about becoming a draw and selling pay-per-views.
Just, it's good and bad with all them fighters. No, not bad like, and, everybody have mistakes, I learned good and bad from Floyd, over the years. I haven't just started watching Floyd. I've been watching him since I was, in the amateur. I've been around Adrian since I was in the amateur, and also Robert Easter and Errol Spence. So it's just learning what to do and what not to do, and as a person, and also as a fighter, So I'm like a kid soaking it all in, throw away the bad, keep the good.
There you go. There you go.
Javonte, expectations bring pressure. There are very, very high expectations with you. Do you feel the pressure, or do you welcome it?
I'm the type of guy that I adapt to what's coming my way. I think that's what made Floyd so good. I don't want to keep comparing me and Floyd, but I think a lot of special fighters, they know how to adapt to whatever is going on around them, and I believe that I have that talent, to adapt to whatever that I have going on around me.
Javonte, some guys like to have their training camp away from home. That's typically the norm. You are the opposite. You like being home in Baltimore on the East Coast. Why so?
Me being home, it gives. If anyone don't know, I'm from the inner city of Baltimore. Them kids seen me, through my bad times, me walking to the gym. I used to, live about, I want to say, 10 blocks from the gym, 10 or 15, and I used to run in snow, rain. I used to make my way to the gym, so me on a bigger stage now, it gives them hope. I can't just leave a lot of kids out there that, and I'm reachable to them. So I might have more impact on them than Floyd Mayweather, because they see what I go through. They see it's not always good, so that's why I train home, to give the youngest motivation.
Javonte Davis here on Countdown. Pacquiao Broner later tonight on pay-per-view. Let's talk about the fight tonight. You're at that weight that you can really relate to how these two guys train, how they perform, what they're going through. What do you think you're going to see tonight?
I believe that it's going to be an action-packed fight. We have Adrian that's, he knows what's ahead of him, a young star. We have Manny Pacquiao that's a legend, that's have the experience. And I believe that, we're gonna have a great fight. I believe that 2019 is going to be big for boxing. We're starting off with Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner. I think that this is going to be one of them that go down in the books as a great fight.
You are becoming a star at the exact right time, and these guys will tell you as boxing's starting to really have a resurgence. So best of luck to you on the 9th against Abner Maris.
Thank you.
We can't wait to watch you in Southern California, and we'll all be there.
Yes, sir.
All right, best of luck. Javonte Davis, thanks for joining us here as we count down to Pacquiao Broner. He'll be in action in about 3 weeks' time in California. Can't wait to see him there. Plenty more to come as we continue to count down to Pacquiao Broner live tonight on pay-per-view.
To the moms!
Got a plan that's starting to form.
It's never boring.
I'm gonna take care of it.
Welcome back to Countdown. Pacquiao Broner coming up later tonight on the pay-per-view. Ray, Steve, Coach, let's bring in now one of the biggest stars in heavyweight boxing. Flew 10 hours from London. Dillian Whyte joins us now as our next guest here on the show. You look good, and you look good in your last fight as well.
Thank you. We're working hard and we're trying.
You're coming off a big win with Derek Chisora. How are you feeling right now, and what does the future hold for you?
You know, I feel good. You know, we had 2 fights. The first fight was a real dust-up, and it was good the second time to get the knockout the way I did. You know, I said from the start, we're going to box and be patient. We're going to knock him out. So it feels good, but what does the future hold for me? I don't know. That's why we're here. You know, I'm number 1 in the WBC, number 1 in the WBO. We've been chasing the world titles for the last 12 months. Now I'm unsuccessful at the minute because I'm a danger to these guys. None of these guys want to fight me voluntarily, so we just have to hang in there a little bit longer and stay busy, and we'll be mandatory eventually.
You knew, because you fought him before, you knew how tough that fight was going to be. And it was tough, and you pulled it out with one of the most explosive knockouts we've seen all last year.
You know, Darius is a tough man, you know, he's a tough man. He doesn't get knocked out like that, you know. He's been stopped once before, but it wasn't out like that, you know. So, but I learned a lot from the first fight. The first fight, I engaged a lot into a physical battle with him. This time, it was more of a mental one. I just, you know, I know that if I box him, he will make the tactical mistakes. But that's inexperience the first time, you know. But this time, I went in there the proper way.
Do you feel like your progression is becoming smarter, more calculated? Because it's obvious you can stand and trade in the pocket, and you have a ton of heart and bravado, but now you're focused on being more a boxer puncher. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you know, I had 7 amateur fights and 26 professional fights. My experience is very limited, but it's interesting. As these fights is going on, I feel like I'm learning and I'm understanding and seeing things better as the fights actually happen. So, you know, I'm obsessed with learning and improving myself anyway. So I watch these fights back and I look at where it went wrong and what I can improve. And I believe Derek Chisora is a tough man and he's strong, but I can beat him a lot easier this time. And that's all I've done. I know that if you stand in front of him, he's motivated. If you hit him, he hits you back. So if I hit him and tie him up and box him a little bit, it would make the tactical mistakes. And he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Make him miss a few times. I knew that it will not get disheartened, but he'll start thinking about what he's doing. And once he started doing that, then I knew that it would be very vulnerable.
Heavyweight Dillian Whyte joining us here on Countdown. You flew 10 hours to get here, but there's a method to the madness because you called out Anthony Joshua after that last fight.
Yeah.
Is that the next fight that you would like, or do you care?
You know, of course I care. You know, we fought twice before. I beat him once. He beat me once. We want to get the third fight, and it's a big fight, and he's got most of the belts. He's the man at the minute, so we'd like the fight, you know. But, you know, at this level, there's a lot of things that gets in the way of these fights, which is a shame. You know, in the old days, everyone fought everyone, but nowadays it's about TV station, it's about splits, it's about scared of losing. And unfortunately, I'm not one of those guys that's, you know, I don't care about all that stuff. I just want to fight. I'll get in there and I'll fight, you know. But a lot of guys ain't like me. A lot of guys worried that they sit and wait 2 years. You know, that's not me. I'm number 1 in 2 governing bodies, but I keep risking my position in all of these fights, you know.
I find it interesting, Dillian. I've been watching boxing for a long time, and there was a long period where if a heavyweight was from England, we just assumed he was bad. Well, that certainly changed. Lennox Lewis changed that, if anybody did. But now 2 of the 3 leading heavyweights in the world are British. So if you had to rate those 3 guys, how would you rate them? Including, of course, including Tyson Fury.
You know, there's 4 top heavyweights and 2 of them is British. So I'll say Joshua, Wilder, and me and Tyson Fury, you know, because Tyson Fury, he's been active. He's come back and he fought against a Wilder fight. So, but, you know, I still believe I put in more work in the time he's been off, so I should be ranked higher than him. You know, and it's shocking that he got the Wilder fight before me. Yeah. It's crazy.
Dillian, there is a method to the madness, as Coach pointed out. But guys that have been very popular, world champions in England, Lennox Lewis, Prince Nassim Hamed, Ricky Hatton, Tyson Fury. There's a reason why you're here. As you're walking around the MGM Grand, being here in America, do you feel that you need to come here to the United States to fully get your just due and your credit to become that big attraction here from a world standpoint?
100%. You know, all the great British fighters before me as well fought here. There's a reason why. America is the mecca of boxing. The UK is great. We have some of the best fight fans in the world, but I want to become a global boxing star and a global sports star, and I believe that a massive part of that is here, you know, a massive part of that is here, being here fighting and TV and stuff, and, you know, expanding my fan base and showing to more people what I can do and how dangerous I am, because people know me in Europe and England and stuff, but I want to be known around the world, and this is a massive part of that.
So how do you do that? Hey, to expand your brand and to make people say, I'm going to look at this guy as opposed to this guy and stay, what do you have to do?
Come over here and fight and station like Showtime, you know, a terrestrial channel, not a channel that's fit to certain audience, a channel that fits to everyone. Like my last fight, I was waiting for the numbers and see how well it does, but you know, I think it's done really well. Even from the reception I had from people, see me and saying, "Oh man, I watched your fight, well done," you know, which is quite surprising, you know, just being a British guy, you know, 2 British fighters as well, which is good, and that's exactly what I need to do, and that's what I want.
Dillian, do you mind if I play matchmaker a little bit? I mean, let's say you don't get the, you know, if Fury and Wilder go at it again, Anthony Joshua knows what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But what do you think about a matchup with you and Dominic Brazil? I like that fight.
If he wants, he can have it. We've been trying to fight Brazil for at least 14 months. We've been trying to fight Brazil for a long time, but these guys, he's sitting in a position, he's a WBC mandatory, which doesn't make no sense. I'm number 1 and he's number 4 and he's a WBC mandatory. Heavyweight boxing is a mess, as you know, anyway. There's put a lot of politics in it. But, you know, I said, I've been trying to fight him. We made him offers. His prices so far. We made him offers to fight December 23rd, my last fight. He went and fought Carlos Negran. Who the hell is Carlos Negran? You know, you want to fight top contenders, you know, but these guys, a lot of these guys say they want to fight. I was a bit disappointed in Dominic Brazil because he always shows a lot of courage. He's strong, he's tough, and he fought. You know, we was going to pay him career high money as well, so I thought he would have taken the fight, and he didn't, which is a shame.
It is a shame. Well, let's talk about this fight tonight before we get out of here, and thank you for the time.
That's right.
Dillian Whyte, heavyweight, joining us here on Countdown. What do you expect to see between Pacquiao and Broner tonight?
You know, this fight is such an intriguing fight because you have Pacquiao, who's a legend, old lion. He knows all the tricks. He knows how to prepare. He's got an amazing work ethic. He's always in great shape. He keeps himself in good nick. People say, oh, yeah, he's 40, but it doesn't matter. He's not an old 40. He doesn't abuse himself. He keeps in shape and he trains. So, for instance, he loses 10% of his punch output. His punch output is so high, 10%. If you lose 10%, it means he still have a higher punch than... Yeah, but Broner, extremely talented guy, naturally talented, which I think is part of his downfall, I think, because he's so naturally talented and gifted. I don't think he works as hard as he should because he knows he's got a good chin, he can punch, he's got hand speed, and I think he relies on that too much. So it's a very, very intriguing fight. You know, for me, I'm sort of still sitting in. If it was a betting man, smart money would say maybe Pacquiao because of his experience and what he's done, what he's achieved. But I would say don't write Broner off because he's very tough and he doesn't get knocked out easy. You know, but whether or not he lets his hands go is a problem. He looked in great shape, though. I'll give him that. He's probably the best shape I've seen him in. But Pacquiao looked good also, you know, and he always looks good.
I was really impressed with the weigh-in and how excited people were, and just having guys like you here is really a big deal for this fight. So thanks for making the trip all the way over.
I'm a massive boxing fan, man. It's just usually I'm fighting regularly. I just come over fights, I had a little bit of layoff so I can actually go to fights, actually watch all these fights. I know all these fighters, you know, I get an interest in boxing, man. Massive.
Well, I hope you get a title fight, because if you look at the top heavyweight contenders, no one deserves one more than you.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's Dillian Whyte, heavyweight. Real quick, I know you don't know who you're going to fight, but where do you want to fight? He asked, you want it to be in the United States, or?
I would love my next fight to be in the United States. I love my next fight to be in the United States, you know, because I've had a lot of fights at home. I fought here once. I love to fight here again. It's a massive opportunity, and to come in the United States and knock out one of the top fighters, then that'll do me a lot of justice.
All right, very good. We'll wrap it up right there. Dillian Whyte, heavyweight. Can't wait to see him, hopefully in the United States, very, very soon. We continue on tonight as Countdown continues. Pacquiao, Broner, so many different opinions on what people think may happen here tonight. We know one thing. They're both going to get in. They both made weight, and they both look great. We'll be back.
You're a barbarian, a savage.
It's been the same monopoly man at the top of Wall Street for 1,000 years.
Wall Street's not the roller coaster. You are.
All right, welcome back to Countdown. Pacquiao, Broner live tonight on pay-per-view. Devin Haney is here now on the set, 3 times on Showtime's ShowBox series. But from what we understand, you have now graduated, so to speak, from that series. We're going to miss you on that.
Yeah, you know, I hate to say it, you know, but I'm graduating. You know, I'm gonna miss the guys at ShowBox, but championship boxing, here I come.
What do you make, Steve, of what this guy has done? You've seen every single minute as he's kind of progressed here under the Showtime label.
He is what ShowBox is about. We took a very young fighter in Devin before he fought on ShowBox. The level of opposition was predictable because he was a teenager at the time. And we upped that opposition. He upped that opposition 3 consecutive times and looked good each time, especially against Zolasani and Dangeni.
There you go.
A couple of weeks ago. I got it right.
There you go.
And we say, God bless him. That's the idea behind the show, to produce prospects and have them graduate to contender status. And that's what Devin's done.
That's the whole point, right?
Devin, do you go ahead, and you are one of the youngest, if not the youngest promoter. You're probably too young to remember this, but the late, great Frank Sinatra said it best. I did it my way. You're promoting your own events. You are doing it at your speed in terms of you're controlling everything from a promotional standpoint. Do you take pride in knowing that you are doing it your way?
Oh, yes. You know, when I decided that I wanted to do it my way, you know, I was happy that I'm doing it my way, you know. And one of the biggest things about it, you know, is I can fight, you know, whoever I want. I can make those big fights because it's no one holding me back, you know. Nothing's stopping me, maybe on the other side, but, you know, if whoever I want to fight, I can fight because I control my own destiny.
For people who don't understand, why don't other fighters do that? Explain why you've decided to do it and other fighters don't or can't.
Well, some fighters, you know, they don't do it because, you know, a promoter offered them, you know, if they're you know, a prospect or something like that, they will offer them a lot of money up front, you know, and they'll be blinded by that. You know, I was offered, you know, a lot of money, but I turned it down, you know, because I saw the bigger picture.
One of the reasons young fighters sign with promoters is because promoters are in the business of developing fighters, taking young fighters. I think we all agree Top Rank is very good at doing that, taking young fighters and developing them. But I have to give Devin's dad, Bill Haney, a lot of credit because he's very meticulously chosen your opponents, and they've all served a purpose, and they've allowed you. The idea behind fighting better fighters is so that you can get better, and that's happened.
Yeah, one thing I can say about my dad, you know, ever since I was little, you know, a lot of people know the story, you know, when I first started boxing, you know, my dad took me to the gym because he wanted me to get beat up, you know. He wanted somebody who had more experience than me, you know, teach me a lesson. You know, my dad, he's been doing that, you know, ever since, you know, I first started. You know, he's always, you know, trying to test me and, you know, try to put me in there, you know, with the best opposition, you know, and that's what he's been doing, and I've been showing that, you know, I'm getting better and that I can compete with those top guys.
Devin, typically guys who are younger, you're in your early 20s, they are going ahead and you know, they get lost in the lights and the glitz and the glamour, but you have this sense of maturity about you. It's like you were born to be a prize fighter.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I might just be born to be a prize fighter, like you said. No, but you know, I have a great team behind me. You know, my team, you know, they tell me when I'm wrong. You know, I don't have any yes men around me. You know, I have people who, you know, who want to see me do good, and you know, they're not afraid to tell me when I'm doing something wrong or where I need help at. And you know, I'm mature with that, and I'm humble.
You use the word test. Devin Haney here with us on Countdown. And there comes a point, and it feels like you're at it, because you said in your post-fight interview, I'm a effing contender. And there comes a point where you continue to get better, develop, as Steve already alluded to, but then there comes a time when you've got to fight the big boys, and you say, I can be a star, I can be a world champion. How far away are you?
You know, the world may say that, you know, I'm not ready, or, you know, that's what the people may say, but every fighter had that one breaking point where, you know, the world thought they weren't ready, or, you know, it really didn't add up on paper, but that's what made them the big star that they became. And that's what I feel is going to happen with me. You know, it's going to be a fight where people don't think that I'm ready yet, and I'm going to shock the world.
Shock the world.
For the viewers that aren't familiar with Devin, he lives in Las Vegas. So being around big fights is not new to you. You've done it all your life.
Yeah.
When you see an event like this, Pacquiao Broner, a special event, a big event, you must fantasize about it. That's going to be me soon, right?
Of course, you know, just being around this, you know, and just seeing this is so inspiring. And you know, I look forward to one day, you know, being on these posters and being in a fight of this magnitude.
You realize Manny Pacquiao is old enough; he could be your father. He's twice your age.
I never thought about it that way, but you're right.
Pretty amazing that he's where he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking up to some of the younger champions that are in the sport right now, guys like, you know, you look at David Benavidez, you look at Javonte Davis as well. Does that motivate you as to say, okay, these guys are young champions, I'm seeing how they're handling things, but I'm going to go ahead and carve my niche. I'm going to be a world champion real soon.
Yes, you know, they were definitely motivating me. You know, and yeah, you know, I know that, you know, pretty soon that I'm going to be world champion. You know, and the goal is to become world champion younger than those guys were.
What's the immediate future look like for you?
You know, right now I'm ranked number 6 in the WBC, so it's looking like my next fight is going to be for the mandatory. For the WBC against the number two contender. I really don't know how to say his name. He's a Russian guy, but
that's okay. We don't either.
Yeah. So
all right.
So
it's all good.
But that's what it's looking like for the future.
All right. Well, we wish you all the best of luck, and we'll be watching as your journey continues, but not on the Showbox series anymore.
What are you going to do?
What can you do, Steve? It's like you're so disappointed.
It's happened to me before.
His name is Devin Haney, and you can see him as he continues to grow. And in his words, become a contender.
Contender.
Countdown continues here as we count down to Pacquiao Broner live on pay-per-view.
So what would you like next? How close are you to fighting for the big one?
You know, I'm sure the people know what I'm going to say next. I'm a contender. You know.
Morning, go-getters.
Today, I finally get a son.
Doesn't speak a word of English.
Hey, no problemo.
Come in peace.
Frank will be the new Hobo Local spokesperson.
I haven't won the competition yet.
Okay, welcome back as we continue to count down to Pacquiao Broner live tonight on pay-per-view. Ray Flores, the Farhood. I am the coach, and our next guest at this time, you're going to see him in just 3 weeks' time, February 9th on the Davis Mares Showtime offering. Let's welcome in now Ericsson, Lublin, and Ishe Smith is going to be your opponent that night. And when you walked onto the set a couple of minutes ago and you told everybody here who you're going to fight, everybody got excited.
Yeah.
What are you excited about that night?
I'm excited to be back on Showtime, in front of, the world and making a big comeback against a former world champion. I think it'll be exciting to see what I can do with Ishe. I'm planning for the knockout, but if it doesn't come, I'll be ready for, 10 rounds, just to get the win.
Ericsson, your talent speaks for itself. We know how good you are. You had an unfortunate loss. It was a short loss. How do you get that out of your head? Because fighters have been knocked out. Abner Maris got knocked out in one round by Johnny Gonzalez and came back and became a world champion again. So how do you get that out? Did you get that out of your head?
I mean, mentally I'm strong. I got a great team around me. I put the work in. And, the work speaks for itself. So, it's out of my head, and I'm a tough guy, man. I really want the rematch, and I feel like in due time it'll happen.
Now, Ericsson, you are now with Kevin Cunningham, who happens to be the lead trainer of Adrian Broner.
Right.
Why did you make the change to relocate, go to West Palm Beach, and now you're with Cunningham? How much of an influence has he had in terms of your development, as you get set for your matchup against Ishe Smith on Countdown Live February 9th?
Kevin's a zero tolerance type of trainer. He doesn't take, any BS. He's real strict. He makes sure, everything's on point. He doesn't like to lose, and I feel the same way.
Your fight that he mentioned, Jermell Charlo, obviously is a big name in the world of boxing. But when you get beat, we had another guest on earlier who said, I don't care about losing. I just want to fight the best fighters, and I don't worry about the right side of my loss column. Where do you fall as far as how you approach losses and rebounding from them and that whole mindset?
I feel like I fall in the middle. I definitely don't like to lose, and I want revenge. I don't take losses real, easy. I don't take it easy. So, in due time, I'll get the rematch, and I feel like it'll be a different outcome.
Ishe Smith, we know about him. You know about him. He's been around a long time. This is a classic matchup of a young guy against the grizzled veteran.
Right.
So what do you have to do against the guy who's seen it all and knows it all, like Ishe Smith?
Well, I mean, I just gotta, make sure my youth plays his part. Ishe, he's real experienced and he knows all the tricks in this sport. So, I just have to go in there, remain poised and, just let my youth play its part.
Ericsson, Adrian Broner, it's no secret, he has a chip on his shoulder heading into this fight against Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
When you got knocked out by Jermell Charlo, you were the prospect of the year by boxing writers and fans were raving about you. After you got knocked out, it's almost like everyone wrote you off. A lot of people wrote you off.
Right.
Does that anger you? Does that motivate you? What did that do for you when you saw how quickly the world can change after one fight?
Right. It really puts a chip on my shoulder. And, I definitely know what I got to do, to get back in there and get back in the mix. The division's actually changing up a little bit with Tony Harrison being a champion and, Jarrett Hurd being a unified champion, just beating Lara. So I feel like, since everything switched up, I feel like it's my time to come back and, make a big statement in this weight division. So.
Along those lines, though, and I talk about this a lot, that fighters today don't understand how important the entertainment side of the business is and just worry about the in-ring. How much do you and your team talk about making your brand, your name, as entertaining as it can possibly be?
I mean, we definitely try to market as best as possible. But we don't do any gimmicks. We don't try to be someone we're not. We go in there. We just make sure we got to going in the ring and taking care of business is always first. And then everything else is just it falls into place.
Just to go backward for a second, talking about Jermell. Who won that fight, Jermell and Tony Harrison? What do you think?
When I first watched it, it was close. It was
controversial.
When I first watched it, I watched it live, and then I thought Charlo won. I actually thought he did enough to win. But then after watching it a second time, I felt like Tony Harrison, landed some significant punches that, were important. He was landing the jab all night, and, Charlo couldn't get out the way of it. And, he mixed it up, and Charlo was missing a lot of shots that, he kept loading up on. And, the judges may have seen it different because of that.
Now, Ericsson, you're also a father. How much has fatherhood changed you in your life, in your demeanor, when it comes to training and being a top-level prize fighter?
Well, before the Charlo fight, I felt like, you know, the guys the previous opponents I fought, you know, they didn't mature me. I went in there and I tried to get everyone out. But after fighting Charlo, you know, it kind of matured me a little bit. And then having a son, that also matured me. So I feel like now being with Kevin and, you know, I'm taking this sport to a whole new level, and I feel like I'm way more serious than I was before, you know, just in general, in life in general. So, you know, the whole world will be seeing a different Ericsson Lublin 2019 and on.
Let's go back to Adrian Broner for a second, because a lot of the criticism of him has been being a slow starter.
Yeah.
And so many times, coaches, managers will say, you got to start faster. You can't give rounds away.
Right.
How hard is it, though, from a fighter's standpoint, to gauge how fast you come out of the blocks when you know you're fighting 10 or 12 rounds?
I mean, I feel like you know, just always being in control doesn't mean, you know, you have to be slow or you have to be fast. Just making sure, you know, you're using the ring and you're controlling the pace. If you control the pace, then I feel like, you know, you'll be ahead. You can be ahead. You know, sometimes some fighters are fast, sometimes some fighters are slow. You know, it's all about how you control the pace of the fight and how, you know, what punches you land and what punches you throw.
All right, before we let you get out of here, give us a prediction for the fight later tonight.
I got Broner winning. You know, I think his youth will play his part. I'm not calling it a knockout. I'm not calling it a decision, but I just think he'll walk away with the win.
All right, very good. Ericsson Lublin, you'll see him in about 3 weeks, February 9th. It's going to be a lot of fun taking on Ishe Smith in what should be a very, very entertaining fight. Ericsson, best of luck, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you bet. Plenty more to come as we continue our countdown to Pacquiao Broner live tonight on pay-per-view. We'll be right back.
We have the #1 show of late night, Deez and Merrill, coming to Showtime in February. We gotta get us some new chairs.
What about this? Yeah. You wanna make a baby? Yeah.
We should make the set look like intake at Rikers.
Yeah.
Who would you like to have on the show?
First guest, Kim's new baby, in utero interview. Who's doing that in late night? Nobody.
I'm a baby, wah. We can get guests to polish our shoes while we interview them. Boom. Let's go make a TV show.
Get it, baby. And I'm taking this with me too, bro.
Welcome back to Countdown. Pacquiao Broner live tonight on pay-per-view. I am the coach, Steve Farhood, the Hall of Famer Ray Flores here on Countdown as well. We've talked a lot so far about the main event, but there are several fights on the undercard that are certainly worth mentioning and talking about, and that's what I want to do right now. And let's go with Badou Jack and Marcus Brown. You talk about probably the most heated between two fighters and their camps that we've seen this entire week. That's exactly, not just at the press conference, but also at the weigh-in. What do you make of this matchup later tonight?
This is a matchup that's good enough to be the main event on almost any card. It's a fight between two former Olympians. Marcus Brown, we can't wait to see how good he is because he's undefeated. Badou Jack has been in so many, his last 6 opponents have all been world champions. So we know what kind of quality he brings to the fight. And it's a very important fight because the winner's going to get a shot at the world title. There's no doubt about it. And the light heavyweight division is loaded.
Now for Badou Jack, when he fights, he is a bring your hard hat, bring your lunch pail to work kind of a guy because he is in these constant battles. That is what is in his DNA. I think it is impossible for Badou Jack to not be in an exciting barn burner fight. In his recent 5 to 6 fights, most of them have gone majority decision, split decision, somewhere along those lines. Draw. They have been so close, but he always likes to fight you and fight you in your chest. Marcus Brown has been pounding his chest as to say Badou Jack hasn't fought nobody. He fought in old Adonis Stevenson. He called Nathan Cleverly a bum. So Marcus Brown has, and we've been talking about it all show long, that chip on his shoulder. That's what he's bringing into this fight against Badou Jack. Can he back up his talk? Badou Jack has done it. Now it's Marcus' Turn's ability at this world-class level to do so.
Yeah, it's amazing when you hear both guys be asked, why are you pushing? Why are you shoving? Why are you so fired up? And they both are basically saying the same thing. That guy hasn't fought anybody. No, that guy hasn't fought anybody. Well, that's simply just not true. But which guy do you believe more as far as having the bravado and being confident heading into the fight?
I think in boxing, most of the time, bravado is about pumping yourself up. It's not about trying to intimidate the other guy. At this level, these guys don't get intimidated, especially a Badou Jack. Is he going to be intimidated with the guys he's fought? So I think Marcus Brown he's from New York. He's a Staten Island guy. There's never been a world champion from Staten Island, by the way, and he's trying to become the first. But he's a New Yorker. He's got an attitude. That's expected. I can say that because I'm from New York. So it's going to be a really interesting fight. Marcus Brown is a southpaw with the big left hand. Badou Jack is a tremendous body puncher. I mean, there's a lot at work here. I can't wait to see it. It's a fight that could easily steal the show.
No doubt about it. And as Steve mentioned, this could very well be a main event anywhere in the country on any different network. So that is why I'm excited about this one. But, Coach, also, we have both Badou Jack and Marcus Brown are former Olympians. Talking about former Olympians, we have a matchup between Rashid Warren and Nordine Obali as well as they get set to collide. They both fought in the Olympics against one another. Obali is trained and is going to have Roy Jones Jr. in his corner, just recently having celebrated his 50th birthday. Warren is trained under the guidance of Barry Hunter and wants to avenge that defeat. So that's going to be very telling tonight on our pay-per-view undercard.
But let me ask you, guys, and Steve, I'll direct this at you. First fight on U.S. soil, and I think being from the United States and being in the United States, I never really thought about if I was performing in Europe or in Asia or wherever I was at, that you just showed up and you did it. How big of a deal is it to come from your country of France and have to reacclimate yourself and now fight here?
Well, I think physically it's a challenge. I don't think that he's going to be daunted by it at all because he was a two-time Olympian. And when you're a top amateur and you fought in the Olympics, you're fighting all over the place. Here's an interesting little stat that I came up with. I did a lot of research on this, and the only example of a fighter beating another fighter in the Olympics, and then the guy who lost in the Olympics coming back to beat the fighter in a world title fight was Miguel Cotto, who lost in the opening round of the Olympics to Muhammad Abdullayev. When Cotto became a pro world champion, he beat Abdullayev. That's the only example I could find. So what Rashid Warren is trying to do here is sort of close to being historic.
Wow. It's going to be really, really cool to see. You got 16-2, and then you got 14-0. Bali's never tasted defeat. What do you guys expect to see? Give me a quick prediction.
I think Rashid Warren going ahead, and he was a former world champion. There have been 3 world champions from that 2012 Olympic team. Rashid Warren feels he is destined to become and once again reclaim a title. He has and has been looking very good under Barry Hunter. Barry Hunter, I think, is one of the most underrated trainers in boxing. Obali has never fought at this level. Rashid Warren, the only 3-time United States Olympian, he has fought on some big cards. Obali has never done that. There are levels to this game that you hear. Are the lights, are the glitz and the glamour, the pomp and circumstance of Las Vegas, are they going to weaken the legs of Obali? We'll find out tonight on Showtime pay-per-view.
And one quick point that I'm sure the viewers will be very interested to know. Rashid Warren has a 4.5 size foot and has 600 pairs of shoes. I think we should know that.
We should know that, and we should hang our hats on that information as well.
Has a lot to do with the fight, right?
Yeah.
And Coach, also about the undercard as well.
Yeah, give us that.
You have to go ahead and mention that the first fight, and one of the fights that was going to be on the undercard, Jack Tapora, he missed weight yesterday at the weigh-in. So Hugo Ruiz, who I think is a very entertaining fighter, former world champion in 2 different weight divisions, he's going to be fighting Alberto Guevara. Look, anytime Hugo Ruiz is in a fight, sign me up. He had a clash with Julio Ceja, knocked him out. They both fought twice. He's been in barn burners, very much to that of in the ilk of Badou Jack. So now that we get Hugo Ruiz, Guevara going at it, I think that is a brilliant job of matchmaking by everyone involved to preserve Hugo Ruiz being on this pay-per-view undercard.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'll play the role of the new viewer out there that may not understand and say, well, there's other fighters, whether it's boxing, MMA, that miss weight and still get to fight. What makes the decision, and why did this not continue on after missing weight?
Well, if you're Hugo Ruiz and you hear and see that Tapora weighs in that far above the contracted weight, you have a choice. You can play negotiator and say, okay, you still want to fight? I'm taking, 20 grand, or I'm taking 5%, or whatever it is. Or you can say, screw you, I'm not fighting you.
Right.
Well, in this case, he said, I'm not fighting you, because I think he probably knew they had a guy in the bullpen ready, because it was not news that Tapara was struggling to make weight.
Okay.
So this fighter, Guevara, was ready. He had been given a week's notice, and he made weight very easily.
All right, very good. So that's the first fight off as we jump into the pay-per-view. So let's go back up to the Jack and Brown. And I want both of you guys to give me a prediction on that fight as well.
I think Badu Jack, 35 years of age, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. Marcus Brown has the opportunity. He has the moment. But Badu Jack, been there, done that at this level over and over and over again. Until I see Badu Jack beaten at this level by a guy who's never been tested here, I have to go with the Ripper, Badu Jack.
And I won't make a prediction because I score the fights unofficially for Showtime, and I have enough trouble with the fans scoring fights unofficially. I don't need to make a prediction. But I'll say this. Badu Jack has had a problem very similar to Adrian Broner in his career, which is that he's a slow starter. And he falls behind in fights. If he had started earlier against Stevenson, he would have beaten him instead of getting a draw. So it's important for Jack to start a little faster. It's also important for Marcus Brown to build a little bit of a lead, because in the second half of the fight, that's when Jack is warmed up.
There are several of these fights that people here at the MGM Grand and around Las Vegas are talking about, some as much as Pacquiao and Broner. I think we're in for a very, very entertaining evening later on tonight live on pay-per-view. Still plenty more to come. This is Countdown to Pacquiao Broner with Ray, Steve. I'm the coach. We'll be back.
First of all, champ, how do you feel?
I feel excited and nice to be back here in Vegas to fight again.
Man, we packing it. We're here at the beautiful MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We ain't playing. We made it. We packing this down. Pay for view. Pacquiao versus Broner taking place this coming Saturday, January the 19th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
From Serengeti Province, Philippines, Manny Pacquiao.
My purpose here on Earth is to be an inspiration to everybody. Inspiration of all things.
When that bell rings, though, I'm gonna be ready. I ain't coming in to lose. I ain't coming to lay down.
Welcome back to Countdown. Pacquiao Broner coming up in a matter of minutes live at the top of the hour. If you haven't ordered it yet, what are you waiting for? You can do it through your traditional pay-per-view providers. You can go to Showtime.com. There's so many different ways that you can see this incredible card coming up later tonight in less than 10 minutes. All right. Let's get down to the main event. We've talked about it. We've broken it down. We've heard from all the different experts and the fighters that have been here over the course of the show. But we're now just minutes away. Break down what you think we're going to see tonight in the main event.
Well, Coach, because Pacquiao is the favorite, roughly 3-1 favorite, I'm going to make a very quick case for Broner and a very negative for Pacquiao. The Broner positive, if he pulls off the upset here, he erases all the doubt about his career, all the underachieving labels, all the losses that he's had. Only 3, but in big fights. And he knows that, and I would think that would be tremendous motivation to turn it up a notch, because he has to turn it up a notch against Manny Pacquiao. The negative with Pacquiao, a minor negative, but I think worth talking about. I think in boxing we're all guilty of overemphasizing a fighter's last fight. Manny Pacquiao looked really good against Lucas Matisse, scored a first knockout in many years. He's 40 years old. Let's see how his legs respond. I'm not saying they won't, I'm just saying maybe we've put too much emphasis on the Matisse fight, in which Pacquiao looked great.
Well, he had a knockout in a very, very long time. And I think we forget that, to your point.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, for Manny Pacquiao, what does he have to do? Manny Pacquiao has to be the Manny Pacquiao that we know. And that is use his mobility, use his legs. We have done, and when we saw him at the workout, I even said, Manny Pacquiao doesn't miss many leg days. That's a fact. He gets his power, he gets his speed, he gets his feints and his movement. Everything that he does is generated from the legs going upwards. Age is but a number for Manny Pacquiao. For Adrian Broner, he can't wait. We are in Championship Sunday here in the United States for pro football. And as we look at it, the Buffalo Bills, they went to 4 Super Bowls, and 4 times they lost. This is Adrian Broner's 4th big prize fight. And I think, and I'm going to give you a prediction, because Steve, I know you can't give one. For a 4th time, Adrian Broner is going to fall just a bit short. He's fighting the 8th Division World Champion. He's fighting the Senator from the Philippines. He's fighting a guy who no doubt understands that Floyd Mayweather is going to be sitting ringside. Why does Floyd Mayweather come to fights to sit ringside? To observe, to be calculated. Pacquiao, Mayweather number 2. But Broner will once again, like the Buffalo Bills in the 1990s, millennials, you don't know what I'm talking about, will lose once again, and Pacquiao will come back and reign supreme in Las Vegas as he's done many times over again.
Ray, it's crazy. I was in the sports book earlier today, and they did not have odds of the Buffalo Bills being talked about in this show on the board in there. It's crazy. I thought they would. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I have a tendency to go with you on this. I think it's going to be a decision because I don't think Manny Pacquiao is strong enough to knock out Adrian Broner. I just don't think he is. But I also think that Adrian Broner is what he is, a slow starter. And does he have a chip? Yes, of course he has a chip. But I don't know if that chip is going to be enough to knock out one of the great fighters of our time. And certain things are meant to happen, right? And what I think is meant to happen, whether or not we want to argue whether it's 5 or 7 years too late, is Mayweather Pacquiao 2. And that only happens if Pacquiao wins later tonight. So in my mind, he has to.
And probably has to win very impressively, if not in a very exciting fashion as well.
Quickly, and we haven't talked about it a lot in this show, but it should be mentioned how difficult it is when you have other stuff going on in your life to be able to focus on what you have to do for those 40 minutes, 36 minutes, right? How much of an issue do you think that could be?
Well, I'll tell you, for Manny Pacquiao, he just thrives under these conditions. The man is a senator. There's a good chance that in 2022, he might run for president of the Philippines. And he just feels great when there's 15, 20 people around him. Some of his sycophants actually fight over who gets to sleep on the floor next to him in his bed. So Manny Pacquiao, the whole aura of a big fight, he's done it many times, as we know, and he enjoys it. You know, and Broner's a little bit different because Broner needs that chip on his shoulder to perform.
Look, fighting in different places, fighting in, I love Cincinnati, but fighting in Cincinnati, fighting different places all over the country, vastly different than what it is to fight here in Las Vegas. So that is what Adrian Broner is facing as he is on the marquee against Manny Pacquiao. They say that speed kills. Well, timing can counter the speed. Will Adrian Broner have that ability? We'll find out in a few moments here on Showtime Pay-Per-View.
Gentlemen, we have our tickets. We're going ringside. I'm excited. It's great being with you guys tonight.
Great being with you, Coach.
One more time, if you haven't ordered the pay-per-view yet, get to it. Your traditional pay-per-view providers, or go to Showtime.com. The pay-per-view, Pacquiao Broner, is just about ready to start. For Ray Flores from Showtime, the Hall of Famer, Steve Farhood, I am the coach. Thanks for joining us here on Countdown to Pacquiao Broner. Turn over now to the pay-per-view and enjoy the first big fights of 2019. Take care.
Certain fights motivate you differently. In a fight like this, it motivates me so much just to push myself to the limit and just go in there and just give them all. Who wouldn't want to have a win like Manny Pacquiao on their record?
These two fighters have resumes that you're all familiar with. Both are multi-division champions, 8 divisions, 8 weight classes for Manny Pacquiao, 4 divisions for Adrian Broner, the youngest ever to do that.
It's going to be a tough fight. That's why I have to work hard and make sure that I'm well prepared for the fight in 100% condition. I love boxing. Boxing is my passion, and that's why I'm still here.
I just want to fight the best. He's one of the greatest of all time, of this era, and I want to fight him. I'm just ready to go to the next level in my career and show the people that I am one of the greatest to ever lace up a pair of boxing gloves.